Like throwing the rock in the water, the ripple effects that you'll never see.
As COVID cases rise, hospitals have postponed elective surgeries. It happened right before Christmas last year, and we're seeing it happening again now. The reason is rising number of COVID patients means not enough beds in the ICU and a dangerous atmosphere that could even put patients recovering from surgery's health at risk for contracting the virus. For one East Tennessee family, that delay was deadly.
Marc had the biggest personality. He was the eternal optimist. He was always looking for the good, had the biggest heart, and he always went full force with anything.
Marc McClure was a father, husband, and teacher who loved researching the past and sharing it with others.
Very much a wonderful history professor, very loved by his students. I could talk about Marc forever, and just his spirit.
Married in 2014 to his wife Jessica, the pair both taught at Walters State.
He had an unmatched optimism that was contagious, and you couldn't help but feel good and be joy in his presence.
A presence now gone. At 54 years old, Marc was active and healthy, but started dealing with heart problems in 2020.
He had a bad mitral valve, and his heart was enlarging, and he had a lot of congestion. And so over time, that slowly got worse.
Doctors scheduled open heart surgery for December 16th of 2020, a year in the thick of COVID.
And as the year progressed, of course, with his heart issues, we took so many precautions. Marc was one of the first people who masked up.
As Marc's surgery date approached, COVID cases began rising across the country. Overwhelmed by the influx in ICUs, hospitals started postponing elective surgeries.
I remember him calling me, and I thought, okay, you're a heart surgery, that's probably not going to be put off. And then December 11th, he got the phone call from his doctor that had been rescheduled from December 16th to January 6th.
A 4-week delay brought a change in her husband.
I sensed it in him, and then the days to follow, you could just tell his demeanor went from, how am I going to get through this surgery, to, okay, I've got to start preparing life if something happens to me. So I really think he had that intuition about him.
On December 30th, 6 days before Marc's surgery, he visited his daughter in North Carolina.
He was not going to be allowed to have a lot of anybody except me in the hospital. And so they were going to go out to eat one last time and say goodbye, and then he died at their house.
Looking back, if he had gotten that surgery when he was supposed to in December, do you think he would still be alive?
I do. I do think he would have. I think he would have, because I think he was a good candidate for it. I think everything that we read, everything that his doctors was telling him, and everything within himself, from what he said too, that he was a very good candidate for it. And he had, very young, very active, but he just had this one setback, and we just need to fix it. And if we could have got it fixed, yeah, he would still be here.
The what if still lingers in the air. The harsh reality that if people catching COVID had not crowded the hospital, he might have gotten the surgery and lived.
And Marc was an indirect result of COVID, and he was an indirect result of, people who think, well, if I get COVID, I'll be okay. And very much they might be, and a lot of people are. But there's a lot of implications for when you get COVID.
Jessica hopes by sharing his story, people will realize that this situation is real, that they'll do educated research and think about how their actions affect others.
How does this affect me, but also how does it affect other people? How do my actions affect other people? And everything we do affects someone, and there's consequences to it. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad. And how can I try to make my little world a better place so that the little world affects the bigger world?
Marc played a really special role in her life. You may recognize Jessica. We've actually featured her in stories before. Her son passed away years ago in a really tragic swimming incident, swimming through electric shock by a nearby boat at a marina. You may have heard of this. She got lots of laws passed in the state of Tennessee so that other children wouldn't ever get close to having to experience something like that. And Marc was really instrumental being by her side throughout that whole process. So it's really difficult to lose him.
Especially. So much tragedy for that family. I like what she said, though. We have to kind of consider our neighbors when we're dealing with all this,
And she had the Christmas tree up because it's been a tough year, and it brightened their spirits.
It's been a tough year for sure for their family.
Sweet family. We're sending them our best thoughts, that's for sure.
All right, Leslie, thank you. We want to